Good morning. Welcome to the premium and public video discussion with a focus on Hermine. I actually checked that with NOAA and National Hurricane Center. It is pronounced Hermine. Uh, and this is going to be a very interesting forecast. I'm going to try and break it down the best way I can, explain why there's so much volatility in this forecast, and why the exact track not only matters, but it's going to lead to a forecast that in some locations you'll see almost next to nothing. In other locations, it's going to be a mess. Obviously, the closer you are to the coast, the more likely that your Labor Day weekend is going to be a washout or worse. So let's dive into this forecast. And of course, for those of you who are new to following NY and JPA weather, I'm your meteorologist, Stephen DiMartino. Thank you for following. So let's get to it. So currently, right now, we have a cold front that is moving through the region. This cold front and trough will be paramount in the development of what's going to happen for this weekend. So currently it's moving through. We have periods of showers throughout the region. Temperatures range from the upper 60s to lower 70s. We'll see temperatures bounce back up into the upper 70s to lower 80s this afternoon. As that cold front leaves, you're going to notice the difference in the humidity as drier air builds in from the northwest. So we have the cold front moving through. We can see that very clearly on the radar, where we have periods of showers, heavy downpours at times moving through portions of the New York City and Philadelphia metropolitan area. These showers are going to be capable of producing brief periods of visibility below 2 miles at times with these heavy downpours because of the tropical moisture in the atmosphere. And believe me, you can feel it out there the past couple of days. So this cold front's going to exit. We'll see clearing skies by the time we get to this evening. So if you have some outdoor plans, let's say you're going to the Mets game or another baseball game, minor league game, something of that nature, don't worry. I think we'll see drying conditions by the time we get to this evening and much better weather conditions overall. The infrared satellite picture. Very interesting what's developing here. We have Hermine, should I say, developing here in the Gulf of Mexico. We'll zoom in on that in a moment. And we have all these weak troughs here ahead of this cold front that is starting to slow down, especially over the Tennessee River Valley. Now this cold front is going to continue to press southward and clear our neck of the woods, no problem whatsoever. But look for it to start to stall out around North Carolina and the Tennessee River Valley on back through the Central Plains. Why is this happening? Well, what's happening right now, let me go back to this, is that we're starting to see what's called the trough starting to hang back. Now, I'll go into this in more details in a moment as to why this is so important. When we take a look at Hermine, down in the Gulf of Mexico, we have winds right now of 65 miles per hour. Now, we should see an update. Let's see if I can refresh this and see if we got a new update coming in here. And not yet. We should have it in a few minutes. Basically, it currently has winds of 65 miles per hour, pressure down to 992 millibars. It's moving to the north-northeast at 12 miles per hour. It's 195 miles to the south-southwest of Apalachicola, Florida, or 235 miles to the west-southwest of Tampa, Florida. Try to refresh on that again. Nothing yet. Okay. So clearly we have a strong tropical storm here. And when we take a look at the latest visible satellite picture, you can see that for the most part, the circulation is right about here. And so what we're learning here is that this storm has most of its convection on the eastern side of the circulation. This is important. So it's on the eastern side of the circulation. It's an asymmetrical storm here, not symmetrical. But we are starting to see some convection wrap around on the western side, which is a sign that this storm is intensifying. And we'll go back and we'll see once again, do we have an update? And we do have an update. Okay, so the update at 11 a.m. keeps the winds at 65 miles per hour, but notice the pressure has dropped now to 991 millibars. And it's still moving to the north-northeast at 14 miles per hour. So now we have the latest update. You can see the convection starting to wrap around. It's starting to strengthen. It'll likely be a hurricane before making landfall along the Florida coast. And by the way, It would be the first landfalling hurricane in several years for Florida, which is really, really unusual. So we have a hurricane that's going to be developing here. We have a hurricane that will eventually develop that, for the most part, has most of its convection on the eastern side of the circulation. The western side is starting to develop, but clearly due to what we call southwesterly shear, most of the storm is on the eastern side. Is that a continued theme throughout the rest of the life of this storm? That's the first question we have to figure out. So when we look at the pattern overall for this upcoming weekend, what we're seeing here is this trough. Now, this is a map from the SPC, which basically tells us the potential vorticity, that's lifting, at 300 millibars streamline. So this is the 300 millibar pattern. Notice you see this kind of hanging back in the trough. This is what we call a positively tilted trough. Now, what we're going to be watching for is as the base of this trough moves through the northern Atlantic and out towards the northern Atlantic, essentially missing Hermine, this part of the energy right here captures Hermine. And that's what allows Hermine to track not only up the coast, but potentially stall off the coast. So when we take a look at the water vapor satellite picture, it becomes very clear what's happening here. We're seeing our trough just constantly, continuously moving. Here's our cold front constantly moving. Here's what's left of TD8, Tropical Depression 8, and that's heading out into the Atlantic. But this factor right here is going to enhance the pattern in the northern Atlantic. We have our energy hanging back here. You can clearly see that right here. Let me draw this out here. So we have our energy hanging back here. That is supporting the development of a cutoff low eventually. So what we're seeing here is that as this tropical storm lifts northward, and we'll try this out, as this lifts northward, we're going to see this energy here that's starting to cut off, capture it as it's diving south, like so. So as that's evolving, we will see a new low start to develop right around Virginia and North Carolina. Now, what's happening with Hermine is what we call a transition to a subtropical storm. It's not purely tropical, nor is it purely cold core. So the questions that we're going to have to ask as we move forward with this storm is, as it's developing, does the precipitation shield on the west side expand? Does this storm stall out? Why would it stall out? Well, what we have here is, first of all, what we call a transitioning negative NO pattern. It's going from negative to positive for a very short period of time. When we see this signal, it supports the potential for high latitude blocking. So when we take a look at the northern Atlantic, let's see, we have what is left of Gaston lifting up into the northern Atlantic, enhancing the pattern. We have the tropical moisture left over from TD8, and we have our high pressure system out here around Quebec. Now look how this is all going to set up here. This high pressure system, I'll draw this out for you. This high pressure system moves towards New England. It sets up the block that basically prevents this storm from being able to leave the northern mid-Atlantic very easily. So with this block set in by this weekend, Hermine lifts up the east coast. We'll draw that out here. like so, interacts with this disturbance here, and forms basically a new nor'easter right around the Delmarva Peninsula in New Jersey. Now, with this evolution, the potential here is for a very sharp precipitation shield over the northern mid-Atlantic. So, for example, let's say eastern Pennsylvania may only get a half an inch of rain out of this on Sunday, while the New Jersey coast could end up with over 3 inches of rain. So we kind of see all the players here. The timing and interaction of this disturbance and Hermine will be extremely important between the periods of when it's moving over South Carolina to Virginia. The sooner it cuts off, the more likely the storm stays to our south and we really don't get all that much. Okay? If this storm, let's say, starts to phase more towards around Virginia and the Delmarva Peninsula, this storm is coming further north then and probably getting to about Long Island before kind of meandering around and kicking out into the Atlantic. Regardless of storm track, if you are living along the New Jersey coast, prepare for coastal flooding because you're going to have a persistent easterly to northeasterly wind starting Saturday night, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. So I have no doubt whatsoever we're going to be dealing about coastal flooding concerns. The question now is whether we get a direct impact or whether it just stays just to our south. Combine all those factors, just to kind of throw something in there that I noticed not many people are talking about. When you have a hybrid low pressure system, sometimes the warm core low, the tropical low, intensifies a bit. So then we have the sea surface temperatures to consider. So if you have a, let's say, subtropical low pressure system with warm core characteristics hanging out in water temperatures that are well above normal off the Delmarva and New Jersey coast, where you have sea surface temperatures anywhere around 26 to maybe 28 degrees Celsius or around 80 degrees Fahrenheit, right around southern New Jersey, that could certainly support an intensification of this low pressure system. Something to kind of throw in there to consider. That has me rather concerned with this storm as it's lifting up into this area. So that's just something to kind of throw in there to also we have to monitor and keep an eye on. So let's dive into this forecast via the National Hurricane Center and also via the National Weather Service. We have this analysis right here. So again, this afternoon the cold front moves through, scattered showers are expected, temperatures in the upper 70s to lower 80s. For tonight we clear out with a few isolated showers in the evening followed by clearing skies overnight with lows tomorrow morning in the mid 60s. For tomorrow afternoon, high pressure in control. Here's that blocking high pressure system, right? The blocking high pressure system is in control, clear skies are expected. Highs in the upper 70s to lower 80s. Humidity low. It is going to feel absolutely amazing out there. On Saturday, here comes our tropical storm lifting northward. Notice our cold front that went stationary. It's starting to interact with that upper level short wave that is hanging around the Tennessee River Valley. An upper level low starts to cut off. Our storm starts to develop somewhere between, this process is going to develop somewhere between North Carolina and the Delmarva Peninsula. The further north it develops, this evolution to a subtropical storm, and the later that it gets captured, the more likely it'll impact our region. If the capture happens earlier and further south, let's say around South Carolina or North Carolina, the northern mid-Atlantic misses the brunt of the storm. We still have some impacts, but the brunt of the storm is more focused towards the Delmarva Peninsula, Virginia, and North Carolina. So we'll have to watch that very carefully. So on Saturday, look for increasing clouds, lows in the mid-60s, highs in the lower to mid-70s with a strong onshore flow. Definitely a strong northeasterly wind around 5 to 15 miles per hour, increasing to 10 to 20 miles per hour, higher gusts along the coast. So if you are along the coast, the overall theme here, whether or not we get really heavy rain or not, you're definitely going to be dealing with coastal flooding. And please don't go out into the waters because the riptide is going to be pretty impressive itself. Now we jump into Sunday. The location of this low pressure system is key. Where this upper level low forms, let's say it develops more towards the Delmarva Peninsula, that puts this surface low, which by this time would be a subtropical hybrid type storm, right along the New Jersey coast. If it's a earlier interaction, then this whole setup pushes a little bit further east. The overall theme here is that along the coast, look for rain. The question is whether or not this is a 1 to 2 inch event or a 3 to 6 inch rainfall event, with this storm obviously being closer to the coast. As you head towards the interior and head towards eastern Pennsylvania, the rainfall threat is less, but again, a track further west means more rainfall for you. So we're going to have to watch that very carefully. There is that outside shot that locations in northeastern Pennsylvania gets almost no rainfall because the storm is too far south and east. So again, the track here is very important. Regardless of that, again, we're going to be dealing with windy conditions. It's going to be a rather raw day along the coast, that is for sure. Look for lows in the lower 60s, highs in the mid 70s. Again, the track of this storm is paramount. But notice we have the blocking high to the north. We have strong onshore winds. It's just a question of whether we get the brunt of this storm or whether we're on the edge. On Monday, that storm kind of lingers around. Okay, it doesn't leave very quickly. So there's a chance that we're going to see a lot of this rainfall remain off the coast here. But as you can see, if you're along the coast, you continue to remain with this continuous northeasterly, easterly wind, which is going to drive all this water into the coastline, enhancing the coastal flooding threat. Again, if this storm's a little bit closer to the coast, and you're talking about very heavy rain right along the New Jersey coast, New York City, Long Island, coastal Connecticut, more of a scattered shower type of a deal over the Delmarva Peninsula, and then a sharp, the Delaware River Valley, and then a sharp cutoff thereafter. I would not be surprised if this storm ends up a little bit closer to the coast. If you end up with, let's say, Lancaster and Scranton, PA, around a quarter to a half an inch of rain, Philadelphia and along the Delaware River, let's say around Trenton, ends up with 1 to 2 inches, and then Atlantic City, New York City, Long Island gets 3 to 6 inches of rain. That's the type of gradient that we're talking about here. So we're going to have to watch it again very carefully for Sunday into Monday morning. By Monday afternoon, this starts to push away. Look for lows in the mid 60s. Look for highs in the lower 80s. On Tuesday, that storm starts to pull away. We get a little bit more clearing. Still watching out for that coastal flooding though. Lows in the upper 60s, highs in the mid 80s. And on Wednesday, with high pressure in control, our storm is still out here causing trouble in the outer waters of the central Atlantic here. And you're still going to be dealing with some coastal flooding concerns and certainly riptides. High pressure in place, look for lows in the upper 60s to lower 70s, highs in the mid to upper 80s, and finally on Thursday, high pressure in control. That low pressure system still kind of meandering out here in the Atlantic. Look for lows in the lower 70s and highs in the mid to upper 80s. So that is your forecast as we know it right now. The keys here are simply this. The development of this storm over the next 24 to 48 hours is going to tell us quite a bit as far as who's going to get the worst impacts and where. Regardless, if you're on the coast, prepare for coastal flooding. If you're along the coast, you're more likely to see a lot of rainfall from this storm, windy conditions, and just overall a washout for this upcoming weekend. The further away you are from the coast, the better chance you'll dodge much of the heaviest rainfall, but the track is very important. A more westward track means more rainfall even for you in the interior. So definitely we'll keep an eye on this storm and keep you updated. Thank you for following NYNJPA Weather. If you need more information, please check out NYNJPA Weather Premium and also My Weather Concierge, where you can get up-to-the-date, localized forecast for your location. If you have a question, you can use that app and get the best data available around. Thank you, as always, and please stay safe out there.